afternoon, everyone. It's actually about lunchtime here. I'm Bianca Valerio and welcome to Italy. In particular, we are here in Siena. So Siena is actually about 3.5 hours by drive from Rome. This church over here, well, it's about, I believe that this is the very first stop that we're going to do as we take on a walking tour of the old town. If you've ever heard of St. Catherine of Siena, it all started here. So as we go on the walking tour, come enjoy and come away with me. So Santa Caterina, okay, so she is actually the patron saint of the poor and of nurses. She is also the patron saint of Italy and all of Europe, together with Francis of Assisi. The Dominican, they wanted to build a church, but the problem was the Vatican actually didn't want to help them. Why? Well, according to our guide, that back then the church actually, I guess, was a little bit disapproving of the Dominican order and the Franciscan orders because they were actually educating the poor about their rights, about telling them that, you know, just because there are people who are powerful doesn't mean that you have no rights. So what happened was they were sort of like ostracized from the main church, if I can call it that. And then so now they wanted to build a church and now they didn't know how to do it. And then it was nice enough that there was this very rich businessman who actually lived about somewhere here, said, hey, guess what? I have this plot of land, speaking of right here in the back, and I'm going to give it to you and do with it what you will. Now, for something that was donated, take a look at that. It is a huge church, right? It's a huge plot of land. So the Dominicans actually built this church. Now, this was made from like donations and all that. So inside, you're not allowed to take photos or videos. So it actually is super, super simple inside. And there are actually some original alfrescoes from back in the 12th century. And then you see like these stained glass windows. Those are actually donations as well from as far back or as little as 2013. That's right. So through the years, people are here, the pilgrims, patrons of the church, Dominican and Franciscan order, they're here to help out and truly just praise God and put their hearts into the work of God. Okay, so you all know like the cameo, like, you know this, like the cameo necklace. Actually in the Philippines, they're usually worn with like those velvet ropes, and then it's worn with a Maria Clara, like our traditional costume. Well, this man over here, historically, he designs cameos, and actually the cameo necklace or the cameo pendant started here in Siena.
Yes.
It actually started in Siena, and this store today, this man today, it pretty much is the only one left who is still staying true to the heritage, to the design, even if it's been commercially made all over the world. Okay, so we're here like on one of the main roads in Siena. So you see this road right here. This is the oldest pilgrimage route in all of Europe. It just means that pilgrims would actually walk this route to go to certain religious sites. So if we actually walk this road and go all the way straight right there, 2,900 kilometers, and you are going to end up in Canterbury, England. Now, if we go to the other side, if you go straight right over here, it's going to actually lead you to Rome. And then I believe if you make one turn and another turn, you're going to end up in Bari in Italy. And then the other route, you're actually going to end up in the Holy Land in Jerusalem. Isn't that amazing? So our tour guide actually said that he had done this route together with his colleagues all the way to Rome, and it took him 13 days by foot. Fantastico. So this right here, not this guy, but this building over here, this used to be a house that in 1478, if I got it right, became a bank. So this is technically, it's called Monte dei Paschi, which is actually a big chain of banks, but it is the first bank in all of Europe. So technically, there are other banks that are much older, but a lot of banks, they went into bankrupt, they closed at some point, they reopened, but this has been open since 1478. And then from here, this is also part of the bank. And then this is also part of the bank. So this is pretty amazing because it is the oldest autonomous bank in the world. So autonomous means like it's one in itself. All right, so you know, like in life, even if people say that you should be united all together within a group of friends, there's still like little subgroups in those friends. Well, in Siena, even if it's just like a small town, so to speak, there were actually 17 neighborhoods. Do you see this line over here? It's like a straight line right there. So that is literally a border. And this side over here is the neighborhood of the caterpillar. And I'm showing you the logo right now. And then this over here is the neighborhood of the owl. Crazy. So, you know, like, you know, when you're playing like a game and then you put your foot in the sand, it's like, okay, that's yours and that's mine and this is mine. Here, it's not a game. If you cross that border, you die. Okay, so we're actually showing another line right here. Do you see it? This is the line right here. Now this is the neighborhood of the dragon. Crazy. It's just like Game of Thrones. So we're now in a little piazza, Piazza Tolome. The symbol right here at the top, that is actually the symbol of the birth of the Roman Empire. So let me tell you a little bit of the legend of how the Roman Empire was born. There's a legend that there were twins that were born named Remo and Romolo. Now Remo and Romolo, they were abandoned by the river, and then there was a female wolf that actually like took in Romolo and Remo, but they grew up and then they found themselves in a certain place and they decided, they're like, you know what, why don't we build like our own community? And they did just that. So of course, like any twins or any siblings, there will always be sibling rivalry. But then again, this was pretty extreme. So Romolo had decided to name the city after him. So that's why Roma or Rome. Now that wasn't enough. And so he also killed his brother Remo, which is such a shame. Now, Remo had 2 kids and they were smart. They were like, you know what, our uncle's is like really a crazy person. He's probably gonna have us killed as well. So why don't we go escape, leave Rome or leave the city and find our own place to stay. They traveled through white and black horses. The 2 kids had actually come to this place. Senyo and Ascanio are the 2 kids of Remo, and Senyo had decided to name this place Siena after him. And then that's why the twin city of Siena is Asciano. And Asciano was named after the twin brother Ascanio. Okay, so now we've made it to the main square. So this is the whole field right here, because technically behind this building right there, it's just all countryside. So this building, first of all, is the city hall. And this is the tallest tower in all of Tuscany. So Siena, Asciano, Florence, they're all part of the Tuscan region or part of Tuscany. And Florence is the capital city of Tuscany. I know if I'm missing any other cities, forgive me. Okay, so what's interesting is the most important event that actually happens here in the Il Campo is called the Il Palio. I think I got that right. Il Palio. So the Palio is this race, and it's a horse race, basically. This horse race is actually in devotion to the Virgin Mary. So all of this is turned into a field. They actually put like, I won't say sand, but soil, some sort of gravel here that is turned into the racing field. And then about 25,000 to 40,000 people are all over this race course. Another interesting thing. So right here at the middle of the Il Campo, that is actually the shape of a seashell, right? And then from there, you can actually see these lines. It's like rays that are spreading out, and it actually is the shape of a seashell. Now, for those of you who actually know this, that the symbol of a pilgrim is the seashell. So when you go to Spain, the El Camino de Santiago, I actually have a really beautiful walking tour as well of that. So do check that out on the vlog. And if you are going on the pilgrimage, you're going to see certain like street signs as you're walking your way with a sign of a seashell. This is basically telling you you're on the right path, going towards your pilgrimage route. And that's why, like I said, when we were walking down the main street and that was the pilgrimage route, you are going to be led here as well, like a giant camino, giant seashell. Okay, so you know how like, ooh, so good. So each country or each city is known for a certain thing, you know, a certain symbol is sort of like what they're known for. When it comes to Florence, did you know that the author of Pinocchio, like the Walt Disney tale, is actually from Florence, the author of that. And then one of the symbols of Florence, not officially, but most commonly used, is actually the wild boar, because the wild boar was something that was really common, that they used it for food. So that's why in certain stores here, they sell like wild boar stuffed toys, magnets and whatnot, but it's because of that. Okay, so we have approached, ladies and gentlemen, the Duomo. So the Duomo, like in every city, is pretty much like the most important church. Now, I even had to ask, what is the difference of a Duomo and a basilica? Okay, so a basilica doesn't have an archbishop or doesn't have a bishop who is like ahead of it. Unlike a Duomo actually has a bishop in it. So basically, it doesn't matter how big your basilica is, if there is no bishop, your cathedral or your church can't be a cathedral or a Duomo. Okay, I'm gonna bring in this special intermission of our walking tour because it's actually not part of the tour, but you'll definitely be passing this on the main road of the old town. Why don't I take you to our hotel? Because it's actually quite historical, and you'll find out why. This is the Grand Hotel Continental. Buonasera and welcome to my beautiful hotel room here at the Grand Continental in Siena. So this is my very luxurious bathroom. As you can see, it's traditional, all marble. What's interesting about this hotel, the Grand Continental, is actually the oldest hotel in Siena. So not only is it historical, it is epically luxurious. Now, this is where my sister and I are staying now. Buonanotte actually means good night. But you know what's even better than good? Good is but awesome is this view. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Tuscan region. And over there, right there, is the Church of St. Catherine in Domenico. Right inside our hotel, you're actually going to see, well, the advertisement of this hotel is this beautiful, stunning room that you see right here. It's called the Salon del Feste, or the ballroom. So this is actually used for events, for weddings, for conferences, what have you. But at the same time, if this place is not being used for a specific event, you can actually have your drinks here. So right downstairs, there's also another cafe. It's a mix of like modern contemporary that meets like old world style, while this right here actually still has the true like original fresco paintings that was from the original residence. So this actually belonged to a noble family that turned into a hotel, which is actually the only 5-star luxury hotel in the heart of Siena. Now, the Pope, I forget which Pope, but his niece was actually getting married. And this house over here was actually given by the Pope to his niece as a wedding gift. What a great uncle, isn't it? So there. absolutely stunning. I'm actually so glad that we're the only people here right now, because I pretty much won't be able to do this if there are other people who are enjoying their wine or their tea or their espresso or their cafe. Grand Continental.